This is 13-year-old La Ti Chi. Chi's house is deep in the countryside, and she has rarely ever left it. Her father works far away to send money home. Her mother, Vo Ti Tom, has always had her hands full doing everything for a girl who could do absolutely nothing for herself. What kinds of things do you do each day to help Chi get through the day?
When I wake up, I cook for her and I feed her. And then I go to work in the garden, and then at noon I cook and feed her lunch. And then when she needs to go to the toilet, she tells me.
So Chi needs help for everything she does. Is that right?
Yeah. And the mom helps all the time.
Chi's disability appears to be cerebral palsy, severe cerebral palsy. Win Mon Hung runs a program that helps people in rural Vietnam like Chi. Is there any way, do you know if there's any way to say it is because of dioxin?
This case, we think that may be a case of dioxin because number one, she was born in a hotspot place where, Agent Orange was sprayed during the war. Number two, her father and her mother joined the army in this area and also in some other highland area where were also sprayed.
It's a similar story, although a different disability, at the rural home of Win Duc Duan.
A long time ago, when I was small and went to school, my foot was deformed, and it was bent up like this, so I couldn't walk. My mom and dad would have to carry me to school, and my foot had an open sore, and it smelled really badly.
Duan's legs are not his only affliction. He also has no control of his bladder. And I think you also told me that there's a problem in your backbone, at the bottom of your backbone. Tell me about that.
The cancer is in my spine. It's in this bottom section. It's affected the nerves, so when I touch my skin, I can't feel anything there.
Crippled legs, a dysfunctional bladder, and cancer. The odds of all turning up in the same ill-fated young man would, to a layman's eyes at least, seem low, but for the use of dioxin around the land where he now lives. While the U.S. might argue there is no credible connection, it leads people here to only one conclusion. What does he think caused this?
I was born like this. I hadn't thought about why I was like this. I just knew that I had to accept it. It wasn't until I went to have it examined and treated that the doctor said it was because of the toxins.
The question is, why can't the Vietnamese prove every case of disability and disease that they blame on Agent Orange? Dr. Lê Kê Son used to run Office 33, Vietnam's counterpart to the U.S.'s Environmental Protection Agency.
We cannot take blood, means, and other from many people to analyze dioxin because the price of analyzing dioxin very, very expensive.
The price is very high.
Very high. I think so. For each sample, blood sample, we should pay about 800 to 1,000 US dollar, and we should
per person.
Per sample.
For one sample.
Sample. And we should send the most sample to abroad for analyzing dioxin. And I think we have not enough money to do it.
Not enough money, because if Vietnam's estimate is accurate, it would cost up to $3 billion, money Vietnam doesn't have. But Dr. Son's agency did study the country's so-called hotspots, the specifically identified places in Vietnam where Agent Orange was concentrated.
And the dioxin, what we found in hotspot, so come from herbicide, especially Agent Orange. Yeah, and USA have caused these consequences.
Why should the U.S. government help Vietnam with Agent Orange now?
Many people say, not only me, when USA and Vietnamese do not solve good this issue, this problem, Asian AO, Asian Orange in Vietnam. The relation between Vietnam and US cannot be really normalization.
After meeting these poor kids at Friendship Village in Hanoi, and the young people we met in Da Nang, and in Quang Ngai, we thought we had seen a fairly full scope of those who the Vietnamese call victims of Agent Orange. We hadn't. This is the Hoa Binh Ward, which literally means the Peace Village, at Tu Zu Hospital in Ho Chi Minh City, the former Saigon. It is a place where children with grotesque deformities have been brought, and in some cases just dumped by parents who then disappeared. They cannot be cured. They can only be made more comfortable the way they are. Maybe. Like this 8-year-old girl. Or lots of girls and boys here with limbs that are warped, or partial, or not there at all. Dr. Win Thi Ngoc Phuong got interested in the Agent Orange issue years ago when she found herself delivering babies with severe birth defects, yet even she doesn't claim that they're all indisputably deformed from dioxin. But, now, you know, Americans who watch our program, they will see this young man, and they will say, well, people are born in my country also who are missing limbs and have birth defects and deformities.
Yeah. Well, according to our study here, 64% of the deformed children here, the handicapped children here, have their parents exposed to Agent Orange during the wartime.
In other words, there are inordinate numbers of kids here whose parents were exposed to Agent Orange. The fact is, it is hard to see these children without at least wondering, could the Agent Orange be the source of their suffering? During our day at the hospital, though, it seemed clear to us that the officials taking us around wanted to hammer home the fact that a lot of pregnancies here end badly, even grotesquely, especially when they showed us into this room full of prematurely born or stillborn or aborted fetuses that they have preserved for people to see. They don't say these are all the result of Agent Orange, but with labels dating back decades, the message could not be more blunt, that Agent Orange has been the cause. Yet they really don't have to take you into this horrific room to make their point, because the young living patients here make it well enough, and they could just use this 6-year-old as their poster child. When we walked in, the child was loosely tied to a crib, punching the right eye socket as if there is permanent pain inside, with a right hand that has no functional fingers. Later in the day, this child with no eyes was back at her own crib when we came back with Dr. Phuong.
It is one of the deformities that I think caused by Agent Orange dioxin. It's too thin, skinny.
What is the best thing the United States government can do right now?
Recognize the legacy of Agent Orange in Vietnam. In the street areas, there are still many deformed babies born, maybe due to the Agent Orange effects, dioxin effects, and they are deformed, like this one. They have a life, you see. We cannot help him. We cannot help. We cannot do anything for him, you see. Nothing. This one, we cannot do anything for him.
For this poor child, little can be done. But what about others from this generation or even the next? Will the United States be more engaged than it's been? Will the United States accept the responsibility that Vietnam argues it should accept for problems that may or may not be the consequence of Agent Orange?